Welcome to SOS Crime, the channel where we uncover the lives of history's most infamous criminals. Today, we're delving into the chilling story of Totò Riina, the Beast of Corleone. A man whose name struck fear across Sicily and beyond, Riina was the mastermind behind the Sicilian Mafia's bloodiest reign of terror. From his humble beginnings to his ruthless rise to power, Riina's story is one of ambition fueled by violence. Ready to explore the dark heart of the Mafia? Let's begin. Born in the small Sicilian village of Corleone in 1930, Salvatore Totò Riina grew up in poverty, surrounded by the rugged landscapes of rural Italy. Life in Corleone was harsh, with its sun-scorched fields and tight-knit community steeped in tradition. Toto's childhood took a devastating turn when his father died in a tragic mining accident that also claimed the life of his younger brother. This left his family in dire straits, forcing young Toto to grow up quickly. His mother struggled to make ends meet, and Toto soon found himself drawn to the allure of petty crime, seeking an escape from his bleak circumstances. By his late teens, Riina had already made a name for himself, but not in a way any mother would hope for. At just 19, he committed his first murder, a violent act that landed him in prison. This was not the end of his criminal career but rather its beginning. Upon his release, Riina returned to Corleone, where he crossed paths with Luciano Leggio, a rising figure in the Corleonese Mafia clan. Leggio saw in Riina not just a loyal follower but a man who shared his ambition and ruthless instincts. Together, they orchestrated a bloody coup, overthrowing the old Mafia leadership in Corleone. It was a brutal initiation, but it cemented Riina's place within the clan's ranks. As the 1970s approached, Riina's influence grew. He wasn't just a participant in the Mafia's activities, he was shaping its future. The Corleonese clan, once a small but violent faction, transformed under his guidance into a powerhouse of terror and control. Riina's ascent was swift and merciless, marked by calculated moves and an unyielding drive for power. By the end of the decade, he stood at the helm of the Corleonese, ready to unleash a reign of terror that would forever alter the landscape of organized crime in Sicily. Riina's reign of terror was marked by bloodshed on an unprecedented scale. In the late 1970s and 1980s, he launched the infamous Mafia Wars, a ruthless campaign to eliminate rival clans and assert the dominance of the Corleonese. The streets of Sicily ran red as murders became daily occurrences, each one a chilling reminder of Riina's unrelenting drive for supremacy. His strategy was as simple as it was horrifying: use fear as both sword and shield. Rivals were gunned down in broad daylight, allies who wavered were silenced, and even those who dared to question his authority were met with brutal reprisals. No one was untouchable, not judges, not politicians, not even innocent civilians who found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Among Riina's most heinous acts were the assassinations of anti-mafia magistrates Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino, both in 1992. Falcone's death came in a horrific highway bombing that obliterated not only his car but also the hope of millions who looked to him as a beacon of justice. Just months later, Borsellino met a similar fate, his life cut short by another bomb that left Sicily reeling. These murders sent shockwaves far beyond Italy, drawing international condemnation and galvanizing the state's resolve to dismantle Cosa Nostra. Yet, Riina's reign of terror wasn't confined to high-profile killings. Entire families of rival mafiosi were wiped out in acts of calculated vengeance, while local communities lived in constant fear of his wrath. For Riina, violence was more than a tool, it was the language through which he ruled, ensuring that his name became synonymous with unchallenged power and merciless brutality. By the end of the 1980s, he wasn't just a mafia boss, he was a specter haunting every corner of Sicilian life, his presence felt even where his face was unseen. But even the most fortified empires have their cracks, and Riina's was no exception. The 1980s saw the Italian government intensify its efforts to dismantle the mafia's iron grip. Special anti-mafia units, equipped with unprecedented resources and determination, began piecing together the sprawling web of Riina's criminal network. Informants, or pentiti, started to emerge, breaking the code of silence that had shielded Cosa Nostra for decades. These defectors provided crucial intelligence, detailing Riina's operations and hierarchy, and weakening his once unassailable position. Riina's eventual downfall came in January 1993, after more than 2 decades as a fugitive. He was captured in Palermo while traveling in a modest car with his driver, betrayed by his own overconfidence and the relentless work of law enforcement. His arrest marked a monumental victory for the state, celebrated across Italy as a turning point in the battle against organized crime. The image of the beast in handcuffs symbolized the long-overdue justice that so many had sacrificed their lives to achieve. Despite being incarcerated, Riina's influence lingered. From his cell, he continued to relay orders, maintaining control over key operations of the mafia. His trial, part of the historic Maxi trial, exposed the inner workings of Cosa Nostra to the world. It was the largest prosecution of organized crime in history, with hundreds of mafiosi convicted based on the evidence gathered. The spectacle of the trial, combined with Riina's unrepentant demeanor, offered a rare glimpse into the mind of a man who had terrorized a nation. Even after Totò Riina was behind bars, his shadow loomed large over Sicily and beyond. Imprisonment didn't immediately sever his grip on Cosa Nostra. From his high-security cell, Riina allegedly continued to direct operations through trusted intermediaries, a chilling reminder of the mafia's adaptability and resilience. Despite the state's efforts to dismantle the organization, the scars of Riina's reign remained deeply etched into the fabric of Italian society. Families shattered, communities silenced, and the ever-present fear of retaliation lingered long after his arrest. Riina's legacy wasn't confined to the mafia's inner circles. His brutality had forced the Italian government to enact sweeping reforms. The killings of Falcone and Borsellino became a rallying cry for justice, leading to stronger anti-mafia legislation and a renewed sense of urgency in the fight against organized crime. Yet, the cost was staggering. Entire generations grew up under the shadow of violence, their lives shaped by a man they had never met but whose influence was impossible to escape. As the years passed, Riina's mythos only grew. To some, he was a symbol of terror, to others, a twisted representation of power and defiance. His death in 2017 didn't bring closure but rather stirred debates about the mafia's future and Italy's progress in eradicating its influence. How does a nation recover from decades of systemic fear and corruption? The answer remains as complex as Riina's own life, a grim reminder that while individuals can be brought to justice, the wounds they inflict can take generations to heal. Totò Riina's name will forever be etched in the annals of crime history. His life was a dark symphony of power, fear, and violence, a chilling testament to the depths of human ambition. But his story also reminds us of the resilience of justice, the determination to fight against even the darkest of forces. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the shadows. If you found this story intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the lives of history's most infamous figures. See you next time on SOS Crime.